My name is Angel Marin. I've been friends with Seth for a while now. I cannot regret it, but here I am. Hopefully this takes off so I can get some TikTok followers.
In a world filled with billions of people, there are countless untold stories waiting to be discovered. These untold stories hold the power to inspire, educate, and connect us. Whether you're interested in media, automotive, or just here for a good story, welcome to the Underline Podcast.
All right, so something that I think is funny, whenever I ask somebody to be on my podcast, they're like, why I'm not interesting. And I think it's funny that you, of all people, think you're not interesting because, first of all, you're not from here. Second of all, you've had the most ridiculous list of cars as far as like ownership goes. You've had a crazy job history. You've done all kinds of stuff.
I agree. I mean, it's just, I didn't think I was going to be podcast quality or material.
I mean, you know,
But
just even
here we are.
even the Angel Marin origin story to me is interesting because a lot of my fellow gringos, we have no idea what it's like to be where you're from, or like especially as a kid, because I feel like growing up somewhere else is just way different.
It is. It's definitely, I wouldn't say a culture shock for me, at least coming from where I'm from. I'm from Venezuela originally. Lived there for 11 years.
What part of Venezuela?
It's an area called Marin, which is East Venezuela, maybe 4 hours south of the coast of the Caribbean. So we're decently close to the beach.
Okay.
But Venezuela was a pretty developed country back in the day.
Okay.
So,
Back when the economy was good.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, it was very Americanized, I guess you can say. It was when I first moved here in 2005, I was 11 years old. And, kids were asking me, they're like, do you guys have air conditioners? What about cars?
That's insane.
Yeah, but I can see, growing up, meeting people from other countries, especially even other South American countries, hearing stories of how they grew up poor and whatnot. I mean, I grew up poor.
I mean, in South America, a lot of people don't realize there's a huge wealth disparity.
Yeah.
Like it depends entirely. I mean, it's not dissimilar to the United States where, you grew up in Compton, you live in a 500 square foot house and you don't have anything, where you grow up in New York and you live in the top story of a penthouse and,
Yeah, no, I mean, over there, it's like I have a few friends from Honduras and Guatemala, like the Central America part of the, Latin America area. Mm-hmm. And they grew up dirt floors, tin roof, no air conditioner. I mean, and those are hot places. I mean, to have a tin roof with no insulation.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave me a different view on what growing up poor was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we didn't have a car.
Right.
But we always, had food and we had air conditioner.
Flooring.
We had flooring, running water. And these people didn't have running water. And it blew my mind.
Crazy.
I thought that was a thing only in like certain parts of Africa, remote parts of the world. But in places like Honduras, Guatemala, and like areas that you wouldn't think that would happen. But I've never been to those places. So it kind of surprised me.
Wow. That's crazy. So you were there, obviously you were born there, right? Mm-hmm. And then you moved to the U.S. when you were 11, 12?
Yeah, we lived in different spots in Venezuela. I think I moved 2-3 times.
Okay.
With same city and whatnot. And then we moved to Houston.
Okay.
I lived in North Houston, an area called Cypress.
Okay. Now, did you grow up bilingual? Did you learn English down there? So you had to figure that out when you got here.
I didn't speak a lick of English when I got here.
Oh, man.
So, funny story. In Venezuela, I was 2 grades ahead. So the school system over there is almost identical to here.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
I skipped I skipped first grade and I skipped third grade.
Okay.
So I was 2 grades ahead over there. And when I moved here, they were, they were about bullying, you don't speak English. And the school that I went to was a lot of white people mostly. It was mostly white.
Okay.
In fact, they didn't have, ESL. Are you familiar with that? English second language program that schools have.
Bilingual teachers and stuff.
They didn't have that in that school. So when I got there, I guess since that school wasn't familiar, or too used to having kids that don't speak English, they put me back in my grade group. So I was supposed to be going into 8th grade that summer. I went into 6th grade. Oh man, that was weird. Because I'm always used to hanging out with older people. I mean, even growing up, I was in the middle of all the cousins.
Right.
They were either a lot younger than me or a hell of a lot older than me.
Okay.
I'm not going to hang out with little kids, you know?
Right,
So I hang out with my older cousins. I have older kids at school. And it took some getting used to hanging.
So it's a big social shift for
yeah,
you.
I ended up making friends with older kids anyways. I didn't get bullied, at least in middle school. High school is a different story. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, who didn't get bullied in high school?
I know. But I got sent. The only thing people kind of make fun of me was I get to school in a regular bus. Mm-hmm. But since our school didn't have ESL, I would get put in a short bus.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And I would get sent to another school. And then at the end of the day, when all the kids were coming out of school, I'd pull up in a little short bus to get in my normal bus. And I was like, oh, my God, this is so embarrassing.
Oh, no.
But
that's crazy. So did you graduate out of Houston or did you move?
We were in Houston for only around a year and a half.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, and then we moved to DFW.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Well, we were supposed to live in Oklahoma City when we first moved from Venezuela. We actually came here, and then my parents were about to buy a house, about to close on a house and everything, and then they were like, "Oh, we don't need you in Oklahoma City anymore. Go to Houston." So we were only here for a little bit. Went to Houston, and then we got moved to to DFW.
Okay.
We lived in Fort Worth.
Give me 1 second. I need to.
You're good.
This is bugging me.
Now this setup is incredible. If you guys could see this.
There we go. That's much better.
There we go.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, we lived in Fort Worth, and we lived in 2 areas of Fort Worth because same thing happened again. I told my dad we were going to move. We sold the house and everything, and then when we were about to
Make
move,
sure you close your mic.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Sorry. Same thing happened again. We sold the house. They were like, "Oh, we don't need you anymore." I had to buy another house in Fort Worth. And,
Man.
yeah.
So were you guys like in Fort Worth? Because I know it's kind of like the metro where there's a lot of cluster cities around it.
We were on the border. Originally, we were in Keller.
Okay.
And then we got told to move, sold the house, we were going to move. I don't remember where it was supposed to move. I can't remember where. It might have been back to Oklahoma City, but don't quote me on that. Same thing happened. They told us, "No, we don't need you." And then we moved to another city close by called Haslett.
Okay. And it's just because of your dad's work?
Mm-hmm,
That's wild.
Oil and gas, yeah.
Oil and gas, yeah, go figure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Venezuela, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Okay.
And then we got the news that my dad was getting sent to the Middle East, to Dubai.
Oh, man. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did live in Dubai for a while. I forgot about that.
Well, it was mostly... So I stayed to finish high school at first.
Okay.
So I would go during vacations, like summer vacation and Christmas.
So did your mom stay behind?
No.
And it was just you doing high school?
Well, I moved in with my best friend's family at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Family from England. Great time. Awesome people.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, so they went over there and I would go back and forth. And I was supposed to go over there after high school, but then they got sent back.
So right as you were supposed to finish up as an adult, go hang
I
out in
literally,
Dubai.
they were at my graduation because as soon as I was graduating high school, they moved back. Yeah, so 2 years
The
or
dream
2.5
just
years
yanked
over
out.
there, they were over there. At first, my dad was going back and forth because we thought, oh, maybe, we all stay here, family stays here. My dad would just go work over there, come back, go work. But he's like, that was way too far.
Oh, yeah.
Commuting.
Yeah, commute. I mean,
Commuting from Dallas to Dubai.
Dude, what is that, like a 16-hour flight?
I think it's, back then there wasn't a direct flight yet. So
it's probably like a day or two of travel.
Over a day.
With layovers and stuff? Yeah.
Depending on layovers, yeah. Like one time I went and it was Dallas, DFW airport to Dulles, which is in Washington, D.C. Okay. Washington, D.C. to Frankfurt to Dubai. And then, you have all the layovers in between. And it's kind of nice to split it up. But I mean, I think normally it's a 16, 17-hour flight, I think.
Yeah. I mean, when I went so I deployed to, it was a base probably 3 or so hours away from Abu Dhabi. And nice. Yeah, so that trip was over 20 hours worth of flying time, I'm sure. So I think Dubai is probably pretty similar.
Oh, they're right next to each other because
it's like 3 hours away.
Dubai is the size of Dallas Fort Worth as an emirate, which is like a state kind of. Mm-hmm. And then there's cities within Dubai, which kind of like saying Oklahoma City, Edmond,
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there's 7 Emirates, and I think they're not very far apart from each other because it's tiny. The UAE is a tiny, tiny little country.
Yeah. It is. A lot going on over there, though. Pretty wild place to be.
Did you see they have the deepest pool in the world, and they have like cars inside of it and motorcycles and like rooms, and you can go.
What? I know they have like underwater hotels and stuff. Like just.
Yeah, it's called Deep Dive Dubai. It's the deepest pool in the world, and it's insane.
That's crazy.
I wish I would have been over there when there was more things. We were over there in 2012, 12, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just continuing to expand the amount of wealth over there.
And it was incredible back then. I mean, indoor skiing, going out on the sand dunes.
So I gotta ask, are the supercar traffic jams real?
No,
they're not. That kind of sucks.
You see more supercars than here in Oklahoma City.
Oh, of course.
I mean, maybe not us. We're used to being surrounded by that all the time.
Right.
But no, I have a picture on my phone. I remember when I first got there, we went to, I think it was Subway to grab a sandwich.
Okay.
So we lived in an area called Arabian Ranches. And within Arabian Ranches, there's little restaurants and there's a grocery store,
that sounds
little clinic.
Insanely bougie.
It's a huge neighborhood, but it's also like a little city. Like technically, you don't have to leave if you don't want to. So we went to get gas, and I remember in the gas station there was a Rolls Royce, a Range Rover, a Maserati, a Cayenne, a Ferrari, and what else was there? I have a picture somewhere, but I was amazed it was not a regular car. But I mean, you don't consider a Range Rover, Maserati.
Yeah,
I think it was a California.
They're nicer.
So it wasn't anything like a crazy Ferrari. But I mean, it's not
higher 5-figure
everywhere
cars.
Bugattis and Lamborghinis. You do see them more often.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you were in like a nice part of Miami, it'd be the same thing.
Oh, okay.
That's living car-wise is living over there.
Okay, that's understandable. So you missed out living in Dubai.
I missed out.
You got to see it a fair amount.
Yeah, I got to experience it. I got to go to the sand dunes and go explore, and Dubai Marina. We got to go to the racetrack. But
did you get to see a Grand Prix over there?
No, I did not get to see a Grand Prix over there. I wasn't Formula One yet.
Oh,
I wasn't into it. But
that would be insane. That's
and then I came to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and now you're in F1 where the best thing we have is Austin. Ooh. No, it's still pretty cool.
Austin, so
Miami's doing it now, right?
I went to Miami.
Yeah, hey.
I went to Miami show right now, one of my polos. And they have a contract for 10 years. They've done it twice. So I think they got 8 more years, is what I remember I read online.
Okay.
It's a different experience.
Yeah.
It's not as packed.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I mean, the tickets are 4 times as much.
Yeah, well,
but
to me, that's worth it because the elbow 100%. Bumping in Austin was, dude, that was so straight. The parking.
You were in my car, remember? It took us like 3-4 hours to get out of a parking spot.
Yeah.
How ridiculous was that?
I don't think we got back to the Airbnb until...
it was late.
Yeah, like 9 or 10, and it's over at like 5.
And I mean, it took us a good...
And we're 30 minutes away from it. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
But that year wasn't it the largest public gathering...
I think they hit well
US
over
or something. It was over 500,000 people, I believe.
I was going to say 6. Yeah, because it was off for COVID. They didn't have it, and then Drive to Survive came out. So all the bandwagon fanboy hopping people thought F1 was the coolest thing.
Was that the first year after COVID?
I think it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. 'Cause you didn't go last year, did you?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was 21 that we went, or did we go in 22?
I went 21 and 22. Because we're in 23 right now, so I've gone twice.
The one where Alex and who else stayed with us in that giant
house? 21.
The one where I had Eric crying.
Yeah, we didn't go both times. You didn't go both times.
No, I just went that one.
So you didn't go last time, which I did, and then 21.
21. Okay.
Yeah, there was. So Miami, I don't know what the capacity for Miami is, but it's nothing like that, and there are more things for the public to do, I feel like.
In Miami?
Yeah, like if you have general admission,
mm-hmm.
there's more things to do.
Like
that
just
are
more
free,
vendors?
I guess. Because, in Austin, it's more like a fair vibe. You have like the rides and stuff. In Miami, there's more like adultish. I feel like there's these tents and bars that you can go in, and it's like a club. It's like little parties and different vibes. There's one like sponsored by a tequila company. I don't remember which one it was, and it's like a little Hispanic bar. Like they have reggaeton playing, salsa, all this stuff. And then there was one that was I can't remember the champagne brand, but they had another tent sponsored by champagne, and it felt kind of more upscale, more fun. They had a bunch of Xboxes set up with the F1 game, and you can play between each other. And it was a blast. See, there's nothing like that in Austin, at least that I've seen.
No, there wasn't. I feel like, because we got there early, I wanted to see everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like all the stuff there's ranch water and T-shirts.
Yeah.
Those are the two things you get in Austin.
So I didn't get to do that. Not because I didn't want to either, but just a different group. The group that I'm with in Miami, they don't have to get there right on time, right when the track opens till it closes. So we shut up for every day for 4 hours in the track.
Yeah.
And so,
dude, it's hot.
The last day this year was perfect.
Oh man, get out of here.
The weather was amazing.
And as soon as the track
was I'm talking about Miami.
I know, but I got burnt like hell. Yeah, I was miserable.
Well, as soon as the race weekend was over, that Monday came around, miserable weather. I'm like, I'm so glad it wasn't like this.
That's perfect.
But it was perfect weather. But parking was a lot easier because I kind of did this all last minute.
Okay.
I found up a Facebook group where people are advertising their homes around the track for parking. So I was parking in somebody's front yard. I would just, not even a 10-minute walk to the track, like down there, like way closer than we were last year or the year you went.
$50 or something?
Dude, it was like $25 a day. It was so
serious?
cheap. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But the last day, I realized that there were still parts of the track that I haven't seen because we were walking our usual area, going to our seats. We had seats on turn 18, remember?
Okay.
And
so it was a little bit too casual, maybe?
Yeah, just the way we handled it. I think we should have gone a little longer, showed up a little earlier.
Dude, it's not cheap. You have to find that balance between getting your money's worth out of the experience, but not getting there at 6 a.m. right when they open or whatever time that is, because then you're just exhausted and, you're there for 10 hours. And
no, it was a really good weekend. There's a section of the track where you're in the middle of it, and it's pretty narrow, the area you have to walk, but each side you have track. So you're standing in the middle and you have cars going this way on this side, cars on this side going this way.
What?
And it is incredible. I mean, in Austin, sketchy. You see the car going right by in front of you and you hear, and it's incredible. So imagine just being in the middle of the track. If you're on
the bridge, you get to have them go under you.
Yeah. Kind of like that, but you're in the bottom. I mean, level with them, and they just, in this section, they're going this way, and in this section, they're going this way, and they're in like qualifying, they're all going flat out everywhere. It was awesome.
That's crazy. That's a lot.
I just would stand in the middle and just listen to the cars go on both sides. It was so cool.
That's crazy.
It doesn't have elevation. It's so like in Austin, the track you can stand in different areas. You see cars coming down a hill or something. Mm-hmm. I tell people it's like an autocross.
Okay.
Because they just turned this big parking lot of the Hard Rock Stadium.
Really? It's in a parking lot?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to shut down part of the city for it.
No, it's not. A lot of people think it's like in downtown Miami, kind of like Monaco. They drive by the ocean.
Well, when they were announcing it, that's kind of what they made it sound like.
I don't remember when they were announcing it, but that's what I was expecting until the first race came out, and there was all that debacle with the fake marina. Do you remember that? They have this area where they're like, oh, we're going to have yachts, parked and whatnot. And it was literally, they just did plywood cutouts around the yachts. I mean, imagine they built this huge platform and they cut a hole in the platform and they put a yacht in there on the trailer. So it kind of looks cool from like the helicopter when they're coming by, but when you walk by, it's only plywood with like a vinyl water covering.
What the hell?
Yeah. So there were some things. Oh, and the concerts are not free in Miami. I think this year they wanted us to pay $500-$600 extra for the concert. In Austin, they're free.
Yeah.
The tickets are a lot more. But it's a different experience. I think you need to, definitely it's worth experiencing it.
Personable. It's not like going to a football game where you got to fight all these people.
No, it's still Formula One at the end of the day. It's still packed. It's just not Austin packed. And the track is way smaller. In my opinion, there's a lot less walking than Austin.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It took forever to get anywhere. If you took a wrong turn somewhere, it's like, great, that adds on an hour.
God. Yes, because trying to go over a bridge in Austin was miserable.
Yeah. That was
nothing like that.
You really have to know what you're doing when you go to that track. For sure.
No, it's cool.
So after you graduated, how long before you moved to OKC?
High school. Well, as soon as I graduated high school, my parents moved back, so I came to Oklahoma. They were moved here.
They came to OKC and not Dallas?
Correct. They went straight from DFW. So I graduated and I took a semester off college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I got a job at like a little used car dealership that a buddy of mine knew the owner because he worked at the one next to it.
Okay.
So for, those 6 months, I was just messing around, enjoying time with my friends, meeting new people, and I was alone at this point because by the time I graduated high school, me and my friend had a falling out that I lived with, and
So you just got your own place?
I moved in with another friend, but he
okay.
had their own place,
Yeah.
So I just lived with them and just enjoyed and
Hung out.
But I was like, man, I don't want to do this forever. I was like, I don't know if I want to work at it was like a little lot at 39th Street,
Oh,
just
man.
to buy here, pay here.
Okay.
I did it for like 5 months, I think, and I was
Pushing
like,
used cars on 39th.
yeah, that wasn't, me, that wasn't my
This is
lifestyle.
some good foreshadowing.
Yeah. No, that wasn't my style. So I quit, called my parents. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. And they're like, well, just move here. We have UCO on the road. It's a good school. My dad went there back in the 90s.
So UCO, so you moved up to Central Edmond kind of area?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, North Edmond. We lived
North Edmond.
yeah. And
Okay.
then lived with my parents, went to UCO, and ended up getting my own place.
How long were you in college for?
Way too long. I was super senior.
So you did the 5-year bachelor
So
program?
I graduated in 2012 high school.
Okay.
I didn't graduate college till 2018.
Okay.
But I took,
But you finished? You got your degree?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, nice.
I have...
I don't know why I was
business
under the
degree.
impression that you just like gave up on it. You were just like, nah,
No,
it's not for me.
No, I have they call it professional sales degree. It's business to business sales, like business to business relations kind of deal.
Okay, so sort of like what you were doing at your wine gig.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
We'll get to
Literally. And then I originally was doing like a dual major thing, so I almost have like I'm one class away from having like a marketing degree.
Okay.
And then I have a minor in Spanish, even though I'm fluent in Spanish. Now, for my original dual degree, that I had to get a minor in another language.
Oh, okay.
But in high school, I took Spanish for Spanish speakers, which is like an English class, but in Spanish.
Right.
So writing
like the
essays
deep
and
dive into
stuff.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that counted as an AP class, and I took
Okay.
it, I think, 3 years or something. I don't remember how it worked, but I graduated high school with like, I want to say 11 or 12 college hours
Nice.
in Spanish. So
Okay.
they were like, well, you just take 2 classes, I think is what they said.
Okay.
Boom, you have a minor in Spanish. I'm like, let's do it.
Nice.
The teacher was awesome. I get along with her great. So the class was fun. But I guess I could be a Spanish teacher at high school now. I think you just got
Is that the path you want to go down?
No, definitely not. Nope.
You just have some of that like prerequisite for the certification to do that?
I think so.
That's
I
kinda
think somebody told me that. I could be wrong.
Huh.
But
Okay.
I don't want kids. I couldn't work at it.
Dude, dealing with my own kids is enough. You have to be a
no, baby
special. Yeah, you have to be a special kind of person to be a teacher. Like that is not for anybody.
Imagine having a room of 30 babysits.
Like one is enough. One is more than enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, they're not around their parents, so they're acting not like they act with their parents. I mean, some do, but
Right.
I just couldn't. No, man,
So
I like kids. Don't get me wrong. I really do. I just don't want one of my own. I can barely take care of myself. I can never take care of another human
Yeah.
being. I don't have a dog. I don't have a cat. I don't have anything. It's just me.
you can hang out with like a nephew or something. You just don't want the
all day long.
responsibility.
Yeah. All day long.
I feel that, man.
I'm
Having
about
kids
to turn
is
30. I have friends with kids all over. It's just
30 this December.
Yeah.
Okay. Big 3-0.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
How old are you?
6 months older, younger than you.
That's right.
I'll be 30 in June.
So you're 29. So you.
Yeah.
you
I get it. Feel it creeping up, and then it's like, I'm
but
a
you
real
just
adult
turned
now.
29. So yeah.
Kind of, yeah. But still, though, it's that last year where you're like, oh God, I have to have like a 401k, and like, dude, I don't have a retirement account. Like, I'm,
yeah.
I've invested nothing.
No, and then yeah, but luckily having a lot of my friends, like I said, I'm always surrounded by older people. I don't know how, but it's just how it always works out.
Right.
But I have a lot of friends that are in there like well into their 30s, and I mean, we get along. They're my best friends, and we get along great. So I'm like, okay, maybe 30s are not going to be bad because I'm already hanging out with 30-something-year-olds.
From what I hear from everybody is like 30 is when real life starts, because you're not like living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You have enough of, I guess, like a work portfolio to where like you're never really super worried about being broke unless you do something really stupid.
Like quit your job and not have a job for a year.
I mean, can you call that quitting though? That wasn't
I'm kidding.
kind of, I mean, I don't know.
No, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I just wanted some time off.
I mean,
The car business just takes a toll on you. It really does. And
I think we were pretty close in that situation.
yeah. And, I just want to change.
Yeah. No, I get that, man.
My hobby of cars turned into work, and it was kind of ruining it for me.
Yeah, when something kind of comes to you naturally, you're like, oh, I could do this for a living, and then it becomes repetitive and you do it every day, and it kind of takes the luster out of what you used to enjoy.
Yeah.
I get that. So 2018, finished college. What happened after that?
So being in the professional sales degree that I had, the business to business sales, part of the requirement is that you have to kind of work with the, I wasn't in the professional, there's a professional sales competitions for college.
What?
Yeah. I didn't know until I did this. I mean, they pick a company and they have nationals, like all these schools meet up and they pretend sell this company, like if they were our employee, but they have people from that company judging them, like, and it's great because that way you can get internships or job offers when you graduate college and whatnot. So I took the classes, and a lot of people in my classes were in those competitions. I never really got into the competitions because I was busy, working and whatnot, and there was traveling. It's like they take this seriously.
Yeah.
But I did practice with them.
Okay.
Part of the class, your sales classes, you have to go into sales labs, and they're kind of set up like this. Like you sit down with somebody and their camera's recording you so they can grade you later and whatnot. But there's a very specific way of selling things to companies. They call it a need. You're supposed to identify their needs and solve it. Not just, here's this phone. It has a really good camera. No, you got to interview the person and, ask him, so who do you have right now? Who are you working with? Are you happy with them? You ask them, you try to find issues they might have, and then you're like, well, I can resolve that for you.
Almost invite them to critique, and you kind of address their own critiques that they present to you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is very big. I don't want people to go in the comments and be like, oh, that's not how you do it. But anyways.
Angel's retired. Don't roast him.
So when you do these competitions, you get to meet people in companies and whatnot. And I ended up becoming friends with the head of the sales department. And he one day calls me to his office and he goes, hey, after class, let's go to my office and talk. And I'm like, oh, what did I do? I was like, did I fail something? So he goes, so I have an opportunity for you. And I'm like, oh, sweet. What is it? He goes, well, a company reached out to me and they're looking for a couple, prospective, employees. And you're about to graduate. I'm like, yeah. He goes, you came right to mind whenever they told me what they needed. And I was like, what do they need? Somebody to sell booze. And I was like, how did I come to mind? Do I give alcoholic vibes or something? So I told him. He goes, no. He goes, those normally jobs that you gotta have high energy people, good with going out and doing things and social. You seem like a very sociable person. I'm like, oh, I appreciate it. Next thing I know, I haven't even graduated. I already have a job offer.
Nice.
To go work for this distribution company that they do. At the time they were the second largest in the U.S. I mean,
wow.
Wine, beer, hard liquor, so everything. They distribute everything.
Yeah.
And were you familiar with the liquor laws in Oklahoma? How they changed?
They used to be really strict, to the point where they wouldn't sell 6-point gas stations. A beer could be cold, and
yes.
They had.
So you remember when that changed? That was actually in 2018 or 2018.
Maybe.
And that's when I graduated.
Oh, so perfect.
The company was getting ready because everything was changing, and they needed.
All hands on deck.
I think they quadrupled their employee size.
Everything became way more readily available, and we kind of broke away from the Bible Belt stigma a lot with that. Yeah.
So we now had all these extra new accounts, all these gas stations, convenience stores. I mean, 7-Elevens, CVS's, Walgreens. So imagine you got to have people to cover all these extra accounts.
Yeah.
So that's how I got the job. And
any retail store had a fridge. Somebody had to make sure there was beer in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
welcome to Oklahoma, folks.
yeah. So that's how I got that. And I did that for, I think, 2.5 years. And then that's when Exotic reached out to me. Well, so I had bought a car or two from them. And I became friends with them. I mean, I knew them from the car world. And then they opened the place. And I came in to look at cars all the time. Because, I'm a car guy.
Did you know Elliot before he opened the store?
I I think we just ran into each other a couple times here and there. Like we weren't like
meets
friends.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew what he drove. He had the Lamborghini. He's had the Lamborghini forever, and then I would come in all the time to look at cars and just BS.
Right. Yeah. It's a fun place to go. Just check out.
So I was always joking. When are you gonna give me a job? Are you gonna give me a job? Come on, man. I want to come work for you guys.
Right.
And then one day it happened, and I was like, you gotta ask Heather. It took me like a whole, I think 2 weeks to tell him yes or no because I love my wine job.
Right. Yeah. You had a ton of freedom. The pay wasn't bad.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I couldn't ask for anything better at the
time.
Was
it 1099?
No.
So you were W-2 for that?
Oh yeah, you had benefits, 401k, great benefits,
wow.
Health insurance, everything. I mean, it was a really good job.
There's a good chunk of sales jobs at the 1099 because when you do it that way, you don't have, you can't hold your employees to a mandated schedule. When you're 1099, technically your employee has control over their schedule. So I knew in your position, you kind of just went out as needed. You wouldn't, some days were 12 hours, some days were 3 hours.
Well, and I was in charge of Walmart's and Sam's Clubs, which was the company's biggest account. And I had the biggest ones within the biggest account. So I worked with Edmond and the ones that surround Nichols Hills, all the way from Nichols Hills to Guthrie.
Okay.
Pretty much.
That's a good chunk.
Yeah. No, it was quite a bit of Sam's Clubs and Walmart's. And they were open 24/7 back in the day.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically, I could go in and work at 2 a.m. if I wanted to. In fact, with Sam's, it was easier to do that.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Nobody there, and you just have one manager or whatever.
Now, Sam's are not open 24/7, but for vendors, they are.
Oh, nice.
Because they're stocking at night. Like there's people there 24/7.
Right.
At least back in the day. I don't know now with the new laws. Not the new laws.
Since COVID, yeah. Everybody cut
changed.
the 24-hour deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure they probably still the same. They probably stock at night. But I mean, especially when we had to reset the wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, everybody, let's meet up at midnight and leave till 5 a.m.
Oof.
The next day, slip till noon.
Yeah, who cares? You don't have kids, You're not married. You don't owe anybody anything.
It was a great job. I really, I missed it. And but the exotic was great.
Before we get into exotic, you have had a long history of owning some really cool stuff. When did you buy like your first? Well, when was your actual first car, and what was it?
I drove my parents insane that I wanted a car as soon as I turned. I think it was 14 or 15.
Dude, that's like any gearhead though. That's the first thing.
I know. I mean, dude, I was 11. Look, we lived in Venezuela. So I can tell you, it was when we first got internet. I told you I had older cousins that I hung out with. Mm-hmm. And I think they got their first computer and internet in like 98.
Wow.
And I was always watching them. I was like, oh, that's cool, man. That's really, really cool. I mean, this is a computer like old school that the CPU part was like under the screen. Like the screen was here.
Yeah, you had the little box and then you had the other box that sat on top of it.
Yeah, the box was the CPU and then the monitor was on top of it.
Yeah, I remember those.
And these had plastic coverings, like old school back when, they had dial-up, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
That's like when Doom came out.
And I remember Then I remember I think this computer I can't believe I started using a computer on Windows. I think Windows 97 or something like that.
Windows 98.
98, yeah. And I remember it was before XP, because I remember when XP came out.
XP was like 2005.
It was way before that. Because we moved to the US in 05, and I got my first computer in 2001 or 2, and it had Windows XP had just come out, and I was like, this is so futuristic, because if you're used to like Windows Millennium or Windows 98 and everything is boxy, and Windows XP was beautiful.
Polished.
Yeah, it was nice.
XP was dialed in. I remember when we switched from, what was after that, Vista?
Yes, and XP was forever. I mean, I'm sure there are still companies that use Windows XP.
XP was like a 10, 15-year stretch. Vista went to...
Vista it looked cool. It was really modern and cool.
Yeah, they're like translucent taskbars and stuff. It didn't work well at all. No, and then we were blessed with Windows 7, the greatest thing that ever happened.
And now it's the new Windows XP.
Yeah, Windows 7 was, yeah.
No. What do we have right now?
10.
10. That's the new Windows XP, I guess. That's the one that...
No, 11. 11 is the current one. 10 went on forever. Honestly, like XP
with
did.
These crazy smartphones, I don't ever touch my computer if it's for work.
Man, yeah.
But what I was going with that was that I think, I remember I saw a commercial for this website that you could sell your car on. And if I was in my aunt's house and an uncle's house and my cousins weren't using the computer, I was in dial-up looking at cars. on that computer, waiting for the pictures to load. And
Is this like Craigslist or what?
it was like a car gurus, but in Venezuela in 1998, 99. And that's all I did. I mean, that was my fun. Going to their house and let me borrow the computer and I get on there and look at cars.
Yeah.
So when I turned 14, I knew in Texas you could start driving at 15 with a hardship license.
Yeah.
Which we had no hardship, so my parents would not let me get the hardship license.
Man.
So, but as soon as I turned 15, I knew I'd get my permit at least.
Right.
So as soon as, 14 and a half, 14 and 3/4, I was like, I need a car. How much money are you going to give me for a car? I want a car. I want a car. I want a car. And my dad was like, look, I got $1,000 for my first car. I'm going to adjust it for inflation and you're going to get $1,000 for your first car. And I was like, God, that's not enough. What? I know car prices. That's not going to give me anything.
Yeah.
So
when you were 15, 16, what year was that? Is that like
08, I
08?
think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So he gave me $1,000, like $1,100 or $1,200 after inflation was adjusted. He ended up giving me a little extra. Actually, I think it was like $1,500 because I remember me and my best friend at the time started mowing lawns in the neighborhoods, and he got a license before I did. I think he did have his hardship license. Like he was able to finagle it and got it. I don't remember what it was, but I knew he could drive before I could.
Yeah.
So me and him, we took his truck and had a little trailer, bought a lawnmower, and we were literally going through the neighborhoods that were like cookie cutter houses, tiny yards, and passing out all these cards, and we'd mow. I think in the summer I saved like $1,500.
Heck yeah.
So I had like $3,000 to buy a car again this summer, and I was like, yeah.
Dude, back in 08, $3,000 will get you something pretty sweet.
Well, you saw the car I pulled in.
Yeah.
That's what my first car was.
Dude,
It's not that one, but it looked just like it.
Okay, so for everybody else who did not see you pull in.
It was a 2000 Lincoln Town Car, and it was black.
Does it have that leather top and everything?
No leather top. It looked just like this one. No vinyl top.
Okay.
This is actually the fanciest one. That was a Cartier L. It's like their special edition. It's longer than a regular Town Car. It's a fancy one.
Okay.
I had the base model, what they call the Executive Series. It makes it sound fancy, but it wasn't. It had no features. I bought it from a limo company because it was the only Town Car I could afford.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was 2008, 01, 02. I mean, they were fairly new.
Yeah, I mean, 7 years old for $3,000, like that's.
And those cars are not cheap back in the day. A Lincoln Town Car was, your granddaddy had a lot of money. He'd retire well. He bought a Lincoln Town Car.
Yeah.
Not a Grand Marquis, nor a Crown Vic, the Town Car. And that's what I
Right.
wanted. I have a weird obsession with these big old cars, but whatever. So that's the only one I could afford. And you know why I could afford it? And I got it for $2,700.
Why?
Because I bought it from a limo company. It had 442,000 miles when I bought it. It was the first car we saw. My dad finally agreed to let's start. We can go look at cars. We can go check them out. And keep in mind, nobody in my family is a gearhead. It's just me. My dad doesn't know anything about cars. I remember we asked a family friend that really didn't know about cars either. But we thought he did. I don't know. We thought he might.
442,000 miles.
Yes, exactly. I'll never forget it.
Those are turbo diesel miles.
These are all the crazy things I did back then that I'm like, why did I do that? Why did my parents let me do this? So they let me buy the car first. We went over there to look at it. It was the first car we looked at. And I was like, yeah, I want it. That's it. Like, this is it. We got to have it. It was a guy, I think, from Nigeria. Supposedly the car was still registered under this limo company. They were still using it. He didn't think it was going to sell that fast. All this. So he goes, just give me a deposit. I'll give you a bill of sale or something. And then in around a month, I'll bring it by. I'll clean it up. And this, when my new car comes in that is replacing this one, I'll take it to you. I'm like, sure. Here you go. I'm like, I mean, he gave me the car. The car was fine when he brought it to me, but it's just something I would never do now.
No, that's so
like,
sketchy.
why would I let somebody, here's the deposit, I'll give it to me in 3 weeks. Keep using it for work. Keep using it as a limo car. You know, put a bunch of miles. Yeah. But no, the guy came
Motor
through.
could have gone out, could have got hit.
No, the guy brought it, gave it to me. I was so happy. I still picture it. I can close my eyes. And I remember sitting out in the porch of the house with the day that he was, I remember he had to reschedule like 3 times and I was a little sketched out. But I don't know. I remember sitting in our porch in front of the house, and I see the car coming down the neighborhood road, and I can still, I'm getting goose. I can remember that day. It was like the happiest day of my life when I got my car. But I don't know, I mean, he could have. The story was the car had a new engine, new transmission in it. They rebuilt them, or I don't know if they were rebuilt or used or whatever, but it was not on the original engine or trans, and they were replaced at $375. The guy did both of them. I think one of them went out, and he decided to do both of them. I don't know if it really did happen, but then since he was selling it, And he said, oh, this kid don't know nothing. I'm just going to swap this motor out and put another old one in and then put this on another car and use that one because it's good motor and trans. But the car actually ran great.
How many miles did you put on it?
Not many because I totaled it. Yeah. Come on. It's a car guy and this is his first car. It's going to happen.
How long did you have it before you killed it?
Oh, man. I want to say... I had it for a bit because I couldn't drive for a while. Okay. I had a permit. And my parents didn't really like letting me drive.
Right.
I don't know why. I drove only a few times. But by the time I had my license, I mean, it must have been 4 months.
Are you kidding me? You made it 4 months?
I hit a tree with I go at like 57 miles an hour with my car full of people. We were on our way to school. And I was excited. I was the guy that picked all my friends up because they were kind of on the way to school too. Like it wasn't like I was going out of the way to pick people up. I wasn't like their transport. But
how did you hit a tree?
It was 50? Raining. And I remember we're on our way to school and there's this part of the road that's an S-bend. But in the middle of the S-bend, it dips a little bit.
Oh.
And okay. I'm driving and one of my friends jokingly, I bet you can't take those 60 miles an hour. And I was like, challenge accepted. Floor down, that little 4.6, screaming, trying to get the car to 4.6. For a car that had that many miles, I really had no idea. It could have been on the original engine and trans, and I would not doubt it. Because these cars, I've seen them with 500,000-600,000 miles in the original powertrain after being in the car business for a while now.
Yeah.
Because the guy didn't give me any receipts for a new engine, any transmission, nothing. I took his word for it.
Right.
And I remember I had another friend and his sister in the backseat. And when she goes, Angel, don't. We're going to wreck. Don't do it. And I'm like, I was just joking at first. I was going to slow down at the end of the turn. And I did slow down. I went from I got the car up to 65, I remember. And I'm like, nah, I'm just joking.
But because she said don't, you did it.
No, I still slowed down. But the speed limit on the road was, I think, 45.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't unreasonable.
No, I slowed down to maybe 50.
Okay.
So I was still going, but I guess the conditions, it just started raining. I guess, how they say there's oil in the road.
The first 10 minutes is the worst or whatever.
So I took the turn and then the first S-bend was fine. And as soon as I started getting ready for the other one, as soon as it dipped, the car did this and it came back up and it just, because, those cars drive like this.
Yeah.
It just unsettled it and the rear end just swung out. And that day, the main road was actually closed. So everybody's using this side road and it was a lot of traffic. But as soon as it swung out, it was perfect. A gap of no cars. Nothing happened. I slid this way. I remember it was a semi coming though. And I overcorrected and it swung this way. And then as soon as I swung this way, the momentum it had, it started just carrying the car in reverse, backwards.
Oh.
And I smacked the tree with the back of the car.
Oh. Everyone was all right though?
Nothing happened to it. My buddy might have had a little scratch right here. That's it.
Good old town car.
Yeah, nothing happened. I lost my subs though. I just put subs in that car. I was so devastated on my subs.
Man,
the insurance gave me $1,000 for it. I was so butthurt.
Oh, that sucks. You just sunk almost 3 into it?
Oh, I sunk more than that because as soon as I bought it, it broke.
Oh, you didn't say that?
Yeah, it was a common issue with those cars. I mean, the one I drove here, it just literally yesterday got out of the shop for getting a new intake. The intake manifold cracks and it starts leaking coolant everywhere.
Oh.
My other one, the one that I was going to sell you, remember we were talking about possibly buying it?
Yeah.
It just got an intake a month and a half, 2 months ago. It's common, but back then I didn't know. I took it to some random shop and it should have been a $600 repair to charge me $1,200. So I had that. I have subs. I had a new radio. Back in the day, you remember those areas that slid out and the screen popped up?
Yeah, there's single din pop-out screens.
Yeah, I had one of those in it.
Those are cool.
And mine was a fancy one. It would slide out. It was a bigger screen than usual. So it'd slide out, the screen would rotate, and then it would pop up like that.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I lost I lost a lot of money in that car. But it was the memories that count.
Yeah,
now
definitely.
I'm here telling you about it.
Right? Worth it. So you went from Crown Vic to... What you slowly started migrating.
I went from the Lincoln and I bought a Cadillac and then I bought another Cadillac. Then after that car I went to the hood in Dallas and I bought a Lincoln Town Car in '88 that was candy purple with a white top on 26s. Yeah, I didn't tell my dad I was doing it. I just went and bought it.
I can't picture you
and
driving
I showed
that.
up. He was not a happy camper.
I bet.
He was like, why'd you buy that? What are you gonna do? And it had a guy's face on the side of it, airbrushed. The owner, I don't know if it was the owner of the car or a family member of the owner of the car had gone to jail. And it said, I don't remember, JJ I think was his name or something. And it had the guy's face airbrushed on the side and it said free JJ or something like that. And I was driving this car around like that.
So you were 16, 17 at this time?
I was 17, I think. And we went to Oak Cliff, Dallas.
Oh,
which
man.
I believe now they're like gentrified or something. But back then it was not. I mean,
You won't find any more purple Lincoln Town cars on 26s.
I mean, maybe you might. I don't know. I haven't been there forever. But you don't want to go by yourself with a bunch of cash in your pocket as a 17-year-old, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And I went with my best friend at the time, which is the same guy I mowed lawns. He gave me a ride over there. And he was, I think, 5'6", little white kid, super skinny, and he was 18. He was a year older than me. But he looked way younger than me, though. And when I told my dad what I did, I mean, I remember on the test drive, like, I want to say, it was a town car, so I had a bench in the front. I remember I was driving, my friend was in the middle sitting next to me, and the three big dudes, I think there were a couple Mexican people, a couple African Americans, but big dudes, scary. Like, I was scared. I was like, oh man, I have this money in my pocket. Nicest people ever. These guys were so freaking nice. I remember the car, something happened to it in the test drive, and he goes, oh dude, pull over. It's like, man, we'll fix it right now. I don't remember what it was. I can't even remember. Something, a vacuum line, I think, came undone, so the car was idling funny. He goes, this is what the guy showed me how to fix it. If it happens again, look, it cracked right here. We put some tape on. I think that's what it was. Nicest people ever.
That's awesome.
It's so funny. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover.
So awesome.
But I don't think I'd do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't let my kid do it because you don't know, you're not always going to run into these nice people. I mean, even though they were tatted up, tattoos in their face, super nice guys. Yeah. They could have easily been like, give me the money, get the hell out of here.
Right.
Super nice people, but.
That's wild. So when did you start getting into the more exotic stuff? Because you've had some really wild, like twin turbo V12 Mercedes and some off the wall BMW. You've had some crazy stuff.
I just always liked the big cars. I like buttons. And I was like, when I buy a car, I want it to have every button. I don't like having blank spaces.
Yep.
So I remember in 07, I think that's what it was. 06 or 07, Mercedes released that big, first was the Cayenne. When we first moved to the US, I remember seeing these Porsche SUVs driving around. I'm like, Porsche makes an SUV? So that's where I guess the difference from Venezuela to here was. I'd never seen a Porsche SUV. I didn't even really saw Porsches driving around. And then I did research on the internet, and I was like, whoa. At the time, it was the fastest SUV in the world. I'm like, this is cool.
Okay.
And I was like, I got to have one of these.
The Turbo S?
Yeah.
Did they have a Turbo S back then, or was it just a Turbo?
It was a Turbo S.
Okay.
At first, I think it was a Turbo X50 or X51.
They had the X51 package that later was...
It was X51 and 911. I don't know if it was still X51 on the Porsche, on the Cayennes. They might have been a different number, but they had that same power-added kit.
Yeah.
And then they switched it. They turned that into the S model.
Right.
But that came out in 06, I think is when it was. So I remember doing research on it, and I'm like, one day I'm going to have one of these. And my goal was to work my ass off. I mean, and I did. And I remember my senior year in high school, maybe freshman in college, or in between. That I think it was in between that I was working at a car salesman. Okay. It was a little dealership, but I mean, he paid me really good, actually. The guy was very nice with me, and the dealership had a good month. He'd give me a bonus and whatnot. Nice. So I saved up a little bit of money. I had my car that was paid off because I never really bought a cash car, and I did some work to increase the value of it. And I saw this Cayenne for sale, and I think it was a high mileage Cayenne turbo with the power added kit. It wasn't a Turbo S at that point. It was an 04 or 05. Okay. And I remember Turbo S came out in 06. It had 120,000 miles, I think is what it was. Okay. And everybody's like, no, you're stupid. You're going to buy a 120,000 mile Porsche Cayenne turbo. That's going to be a money pit. You're going to spend all your money. I spent all my money. I cleared out my bank account. I sold the car. And
to keep it running, or just
to buy it. I didn't even know the guy was going to, and I still didn't have all the money. I didn't know the guy was going to sell it to me, but I was like, you know what? I'll buy something else. I was ready to sell my car anyways. I sold it. A friend of mine bought my car right away, and I think the guy was asking like 17 grand for this Cayenne. Okay. It's 2013, I think, at this point, 12 or 13. So
it's still a good chunk of money.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not that long ago, but the used car market is crazy. You're not going to find a Cayenne turbo right now for 17 grand. Or if you do, it's going to be a lot of money. Ago. Yeah. So the Cayenne was an 04 and 05. The Cayenne wasn't even 10 years old yet. It was in really good shape. I actually went to see it in person. And at this point, I've gotten my feet wet a little bit with cars, working at that dealership. So I kind of knew a little more what to expect, what to look for. And I go to a little town in Oklahoma. I don't even remember what it was. But this town looked like a ghost town. And sure enough, I'm pulling up and I see this beautiful silver Cayenne Turbo parked in a abandoned building looking part outside with a for sale sign. I'm like, yeah, like somebody's going to buy this Cayenne just driving around here. I was like, I'm not saying that small towns don't have money. They do, but nobody's going to want a Cayenne Turbo, you know?
There's no traffic there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody there would really want a Cayenne Turbo. Like,
right. Yeah.
But I show up, I test drive the car, and I'm like, I was hoping it was going to be needed some work. So I could tell the guy, man, I have this much. I only have 12 grand. They got one at 17 for it. But this is back then when you could negotiate a little bit, but not that much. That's 5 grand for the asking price.
It's like 30% of the value there.
Yeah. So not just 5 grand off the asking price. It's not like you're buying an $80,000 car, you want 5 grand off. It was 17.
Right.
I only had 12 grand. And I tell the guy, I'm like, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have all the money, and I was expecting the car to need something, but it's in great shape. I mean, I really can't pick it apart. And he goes, how much money do you have, dude? I'm like, man, I only have 12 grand. He goes, oh, man, come on. And I was like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, just being honest with you. I'm not trying to lowball you. Just say no. It's okay. He goes, you know what? I'm getting a divorce. This is my ex-wife's car. The less money I get for it, the less money she gets for it. Take it. And I was like, yes! I was so excited.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Dude, that's awesome.
I couldn't imagine. I know my face got like, I couldn't imagine this guy just made this kid's like dreams
Scored
come
a
true.
Cayenne Turbo S for $12,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter the miles.
Really good
That's
options.
nuts.
I mean, it was optioned out, the big wheels, like they had the cool seats. Normally those have like these ruched leather seats that are not big fan. This one had like perforated leather seats,
Oh, nice.
headliner, panoramic sunroof. I mean,
Dang.
now that I know about Cayennes and all about cars, I've never seen one spec'd out like this one. I mean, really, really spec'd out car. And I drove it to like 160,000 miles. I drove that thing to Florida. Everybody was like, you're stupid for buying that car. That car never looked inside a route.
The old twin turbo V8
Ever.
Porsches were really reliable.
Never, dude. Never had issues with that. I drove it to Florida, went to Dallas in it a bunch. I mean, great car.
There's just a stigma about European cars that if they have miles or whatever, that they're going to be horribly unreliable. Maintenance is going to cost all the money.
Some are.
Well, that's the thing is like you can't just say Mercedes is bad or BMW is bad. It depends on the drivetrain, the year, the chassis. They have really, really good ones. Like there are some Mercedes that will never break ever, and then they have some where it's in the shop every month for something, you know. European cars aren't all terrible.
No,
you just have to really research what you're buying. And
I've had Japanese cars that were garbage.
Yeah,
It all depends with the previous care of the car.
Oh, dude, I had 2 Evos. Like,
I'm talking about like
in the foot.
But those are like. You say what car did you have?
Evos. I had an Evo 8 and an Evo 10.
But those are high performance cars. You know, they're pushing
High
that car.
performance.
They're pushing that car to the limit.
300 horsepower.
I had a Nissan Altima that was trash.
Oh yeah, Nissan. Dude, Nissan sucks. I had an
They
Infiniti.
went from making great cars in the 90s and 80s and everything to like the stuff they make right now.
I had a G37 and it was awful.
No. I sold a Cayenne to this guy when it had like 160,000 miles for like 15 grand.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You made money on a high mileage Porsche?
I drove it for a while too.
Oh my god.
I sold it. Dude, the car showed up for sale years later. It was right before I started working at Exotics. I mean, it was a long time. He kept it for a while. Still looked beautiful. 275,000 miles on it. I went and test drove it. It was at a Chevy dealership, and I'm like, hey, I want to test drive that Cayenne. I didn't tell the guy it was mine or anything in the past. I want to see how this 275,000 mile Cayenne drives. It drove it the day I sold it. Like the day I bought it. I was like, oh my God.
That's insane.
It did have an exhaust when I bought it. The guy had put a, what's that brand? Is it Tubi?
Tubi, yeah.
It sounded amazing.
Yeah.
My buddies were like, it sounds like a dump 350. But it sounded really good.
With a little bit of spool in there.
Yeah, it sounded really good. But I guess somebody rear-ended had an accident on Carfax. And they just tapped the back of it and screwed up the exhaust. So it had a factory exhaust now, and it had the back bumper had been painted, but it was a good job. I couldn't tell. The only reason I could tell was because I'm like, man, this is really quiet. I remember this car being loud when I drove it. But
that's crazy.
I sold it because I wanted to buy my S65. I'm like, the next car I want to have is an S65. So I saved up money, and I think I had the Cayenne for a couple of years.
Is an S65?
That's the Mercedes, the twin turbo V12 Mercedes.
Okay, and so what was that, like a CLK, SLK?
No, in the S class. It's an S class, a big 4-door S. And so, with Mercedes, then like you got a bunch of Mercedes, the E-Class, S-Class.
Yeah, I know an S-Class, but I'm trying to think of what the hell an S65 is.
It just looks like a normal S-Class. It just has a big-ass motor in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so instead of like the S63.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. It's just it's a step up. They
I've
made
just-
it.
I've
You know how they
never
made
heard
they made a G65 too?
Right,
They
yeah,
put
and
that
that's
as-
the twin turbo V12.
Yeah, we had a white one, remember? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I'd ever seen like that.
Same here.
I
It's
didn't
the
even know
only
that
one
was
I've
an
seen.
option.
Yep.
I didn't even know they did that. So, okay, so you had
The
4-door sedan, S-Class, twin turbo V12. How awful was that?
great. It's the car I've owned the longest.
Really?
I've never owned a car that long. Well,
How
I
many
have some
years
cars
did
right
you have
now. 5 years probably. Throughout college, all through college, pretty much. I bought the Cayenne right before college. Drove the Cayenne, I think my first year of college, and a little longer, and then for my other 5 years of college, because I was in college forever, I had that at 65.
So how like as a college student, how do you afford fuel for that?
They're not terrible. It wasn't terrible. I mean,
It wasn't
I
terrible?
lived down the street from school, and I worked at AutoZone down the
So
street.
the key to afford fuel for an S65 is don't drive it.
Yeah. And I did the same thing. Because I'm a broke college kid. I looked for a while till the cheapest S65 with the most miles popped up, and it was still pretty expensive. But how much? I can't remember how much it was. I can't even.
Probably pay 30 or 40 for it.
Something like that. Maybe. I don't. Honestly, I'd be guessing this long ago, and I've had so many cars by now that I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
So were you doing car sales while you owned this?
no, I was working at AutoZone and driving for Uber. I think is what I was doing. Yeah.
AutoZone and Uber, and you got yourself an S65.
Yes.
That's impressive.
That was AutoZone and Uber.
Did you get to do like the fancy Uber because you had the S65?
I know I didn't do it with the S65. No.
No?
No.
You
I
had what, like another town car?
I had a Grand Marquis.
Grand Marquis?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a Grand Marquis that I did Uber with.
So yes, you had another town car.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I still had a town car, and I've always had a town car. It's the best daily driver, but I didn't want to drive my town car for Uber because it was nice. So I bought a Grand Marquis.
Oh my God.
But no, same thing with the S65, high mileage. Bought it at a little used car dealership, but it's a really nice car, though, good shape, super optioned out. A lot of, I've never seen an S-Class that was a 4-seater. A 4-door S-Class that was a 4-seater, has center console in the back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Never seen that up to this point.
That's kind of a newer thing, typically.
Yeah.
Cars didn't really used to have that.
Yeah. I mean, this car was in 08 and it had it. I mean,
Okay, that's crazy.
and then everybody told me it's heavy, a piece of junk. It's going to break down all the time. You're crazy buying it had 100,000 miles, I think. 100,000 mile S65. What are you doing? No. Never had an issue with it.
That's insane.
Super reliable car. But I think my luck has changed because I've bought low mileage cars like my Rolls Royce, the
Was
Ghost.
that a Ghost? Yeah.
Remember the Blue Ghost?
Uh-huh.
Low mileage. The car had like 20,000 miles on it.
Right.
And remember the stupid vibration that I complain about all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess it wasn't really an issue because I've driven so many other Rolls Royces now, and
you ever
they all
figure
have
out-
a little shimmy for some reason when they get old. I don't know.
You never figured out what it was? If it
That's
was
why I sold it. I love
pushing
that car.
drivetrain issue or no idea?
I talked to the guys next door, I had Motor Works, and they wanted to throw parts at it, but they're like, it's not smart. It's such a minor thing. Just drive it like that and ignore it. I just couldn't.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you know it's there and it's going to
Yeah,
drive you nuts.
I drove it for a while, and then I was like, you know what? It's time to. I can't do it. It's just. And then the market was like, kept going up, and I'm like, I can get out of this car and actually break even.
Yeah.
Who drives a
Because
Rolls for a year?
those depreciate real hard.
Yeah, and I drove a Rolls for a year, put some miles on it, and including taxes, maintenance I did to it, everything. I only drove that car for a year, lost $1,900.
That's nothing for a car like that. I mean, you bought it for 140.
I think it was 145, something like that. Yeah,
Yep.
and I sold for 150 something.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So
Just
after the
chilling.
S65, you went through college, all that 2018, you got out, sold wine for a while. Right before you started working at Exotic, how many cars did you buy? I know you had the green Bentley.
The Continental GT, yeah. Oh, that's a great car.
That was beautiful.
Beautiful condition, too.
I
One
think-
owner car.
That's insane. You grabbed it for 35.
Yeah. I think it was something like that. It was ridiculous. I mean, you can't find that anymore. Prices on the Bentleys still went up, and they came out, but not that low.
So that blew my mind.
I
You
think
know,
it
just
sold for it sold for more than that. $50, I think, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, after you had that in the Porsche and you got rid of both to get the Rolls, yeah, it was up there. You got top dollar for that and the Porsche. But I just think that's crazy that, like, you know, for the normal consumer, you hear Bentley and you think, oh, $200,000-$300,000 luxury, just unobtainium cars.
I'd go out at night and people, like, if I go to a club or a bar or something, you'll go crazy. Oh, a two-door Bentley coupe. Like, look at that car. And it's like, bro, your brand new Honda Accord costs more than this car.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, that Bentley has stayed so traditional with their styling that for people who aren't into that niche, they don't really know the difference by looking at it.
Well, now you can. The new Bentleys are pretty radical.
Right, but again, unless you're like really into it, you can look at your, what was it, an 04, 05?
05, yeah.
You can look at your 05 Continental and it looks like it would be a 21. They aged really well. And
if you don't know, you have no idea. Especially because I put newer wheels on it, you remember?
You swapped those out, you put like Vossens on it or something?
Yeah, what aged the car was those wheels. Those tiny wheels aged those cars quite a bit.
Those look weird, but
no, this car being, I think it had 30,000 miles, 30,000 miles on it. It looked brand new. It drove like a new car. I mean, remember that one time I raced here in Mexico?
I do remember the closed course sanctioned race that we had
up in Hallett.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get on it, it was a 300. I
had my Pro Charged 300C on a drag radial, and I bought that.
Taking you to go pick it up.
I had something. I think I had something done. I think that might have been after I had the headers and the new rear end put in it.
I don't know, but we went to pick it up, and we're like, let's have some fun. So,
yep. And we were pretty even until, pretty far up there. And I think I started inching on you. I'll say I took the W, but it was so marginal enough that it's not like enough for me to brag about.
And then it broke. Or we thought it broke, remember?
The Bentley, yeah.
I limped it to the shop, and then it's out of the shop.
Well, what happened when you thought it broke? Like when we were going...
I don't know. I don't know where. That's when I let go.
Your speedo shut off.
Speedometer shut off. Warning lights everywhere.
Your tire dash was lit up.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a Christmas tree. It was, it was terrible.
You were like, "Oh, dude, this race just cost me $15,000. Like, it needs a motor or something."
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it was making a grinding sound, and I'm like, "What happened?" Did
we were doing laps around Edmond Motor Works trying to hear it.
I was like, "Is it a half shaft? Like it's grinding or something?" It was just making a weird sound from one of the wheels, and
so you let it sit at Motorworks for a month.
Yeah, because they were super backed up.
Yep.
And they sat there, and Steve finally, when they pulls it in, and I see him pull it in, I get all excited. I'm like, "Oh, great, man, cool. Let me know what's wrong with it." And I go back, and he comes in like not even 5 minutes. "It's fixed. Here's the key." And I'm like, "It's fixed." I'm like, "How much I owe you?" He goes, "Oh, nothing." And I was like, "What was it?" It was a rock. Got gotten somehow wedged between the shield behind the rotor and the rotor.
That was amazing.
And that's where the speed sensor goes in that car. So I guess the rock in there just tambling and doing all its thing, just messing with the speed sensor, and the car didn't know how fast I was going, so it lit up the Christmas tree. And then that's the grinding we were hearing.
Yeah,
it's just the rock in there going. It's just a rock.
That was so funny. You thought, dude, you were so stressed out. You thought that was game over.
Oh, I thought I was like, great. And there goes my next 4 paychecks to fix it. Another car that everybody says I'm stupid for buying. And it was perfect.
Well, those are notorious for having vacuum line issues, right?
And you got to drop the motor.
Yeah.
Because they put the vacuum line between the engine and the firewall.
It's one of those just a small parts failures, a small oversight that in theory would be an easy fix.
It's a 60-cent vacuum hose. I mean.
Yeah, but just because of the positioning, the labor is what does it. Because if you've never seen a Bentley or under the hood of one, you open it up and it's like you use every square inch of that engine bay.
Yeah,
you could pour water on the valve covers and not see it hit the bottom.
It looked like they designed the car around the engine. Like, okay, here's the engine. Now make it real tight. Like you couldn't reach anything in it. It was ridiculous.
And those have a twin turbo W12.
W12, yeah.
So what is a W12? Is that like two VR6s smushed together?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks, when you open the hood, it kind of looks normal because they're narrow because the cylinders are not. So you have
they're not parallel.
VR6, they're not one here. Yeah,
they're offset. It's in between a V and an inline. They're just
they have one head.
Right.
One head for both banks.
Yeah.
So it's just when you look at the engine, it's two really big fat heads.
Okay.
I remember I went to look one time at a old Golf, VR6 Golf, and I asked the guy, "Is it a VR6?" The guy goes, "Yeah." So I show up to look at it, pop the hood, and I'm like, bro, this is not a VR6. It's not a 6-cylinder. He goes, yes, it is. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, this is when I was really young, like 17, 18. I didn't know. I was still learning about cars. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's only one head. V6s have 2 heads, dude. The guy goes, bro, count. And I'm like, oh. I was like, bro, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm like, it's a VR6. That's what VR6s look
weird,
like.
Yeah. VR6 is one of the greatest engines ever made, though. The way they sound, the way they respond to boost. My old roommate, his name is Michael Jevachensky. He had a Mark III Golf. He VR6 swapped it and put a huge Pro Charger on it, and that thing would light up the tires going 60 plus. It was so dumb. Yeah, because boost. I mean, the Pro Charger, you give it RPM and it's boost immediately. So if you downshift and punch it, you go from 0 psi to like 12 or whatever you had, like immediately. There's no spool. You just. So he would.
I don't think I've ever driven a boosted VR6.
It's sketchy. They're fast.
I had a buddy that had a Passat. That was a W8. Did you know you can get a Passat with an 8-cylinder?
Yeah, they had W8s, didn't they?
Dude, it's insane, and they sound good too.
They sound weird.
They sound weird. Yeah, it's
like
different.
Really weird. So how does
and
a
they're
W8
all-wheel drive
work?
too? It's literally 2 V4s. They just chopped the 2 cylinders off the back of it on the VR6.
That's weird. And you said the rear-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive. Okay.
I mean, when he had it was a W8 4Motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what Volkswagen calls it.
It was a cool car. I mean, really cool.
That's weird.
Sounded good.
They don't make shit for power though, do they?
I'm sure it was like an 07, 08. I'm sure it didn't.
They're like 300 horsepower V8s.
If that, well, W8.
VAG is notorious for that. Like back in the day, if it had a V8, it was super slow.
My 1976 Cadillac, I think it still has a record for the largest engine putting up a production car.
It's like an
8.2 liter. What do Vipers have? What size is the V10?
Later generations is an 8.4 and 8.6, maybe.
I have no idea.
For a while, they were 8.2s.
Well, anyways, I know I've read a line. Maybe these are outdated articles, but that the Cadillac in the 70s, that's the biggest engine.
I'm sure they held the record for a long time because the Viper didn't come out till the 90s.
It's 8.2 liter V8 on it.
Yeah.
I think it makes 130 horsepower.
130.
It makes like, I mean, probably close 400 foot-pounds of torque.
That's insane.
It makes no power.
All that displacement and
you gotta remember, it's the 70s, and as most videos, car videos and podcasts, when you talk about the 70s, they have the fuel crisis. So America had like all these stipulations and stuff, and the industry in the 70s were just so choked up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So choked up. I mean, I'm sure if I were to take all the emission stuff with this Cadillac, I mean, I'd probably open it up quite a bit. But I mean, the 400 foot-pounds of torque help it.
Oh, I bet.
But same thing. I have a 76. No, the 76 is the Cadillac. I have a 78 Lincoln Continental Mark V. That's the gold one, the 2-door gold car.
Okay, yeah, I remember when you got that. You were super excited. That was a cool find.
Oh, I love that car. Diamond Jubilee, really special. But anyways, that's got a 7.7, I think is what it is. It's a 460 from Ford.
Yeah.
I don't know what that converts to liters.
I think it's a 7.5
or 7. Yeah, you're right. I think it's a 7.5. Yeah. I think it makes like 120, 130 horsepower. I mean, it's so slow. I mean, tons of torque, but they're just slow cars.
That's funny, yeah.
But I had a 69 Cadillac, just like my 76, but a 69, so it's a generation before. No, 2 generations before. And I had a 400 in it, I think is what it was. Or a 420, something. I can't remember exact size. It was a lot smaller than the 500s in it right now in the 70s. Way faster. Smaller engine, but that's before all the fuel stuff, all the regulations. And that one moved.
Okay.
I mean, for a big car, especially from the 60s.
So 500, is that like technically per GM's classifications, is that a big block?
Yes. The 500 is 500 is a big block.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Even I think it was a 420, what it's called, I can't remember what size the 69 Caddy had, but it was in the 400s. And I think that's considered also a big block.
So what's in your garage right now? What all do you own?
I have my 1997 Toyota Land Cruiser. I have the 76 Cadillac Fleetwood.
I love that you have to like stop and think.
I have a 78 Lincoln Continental Mark V. I have a 1988 Mercury Colony Park station wagon with the wood paneling.
That was used in a movie, correct?
they've rented out for a bunch of stuff. I don't think it ever makes it. It's just a background car. I've watched some of the movies and stuff. I'm like, I didn't see it.
No.
There was a split second. If I get paid, I don't care.
You're right.
I think they've all been rented at one point or not by multiple things. I have my 1986 Mercury Grand Marquis sedan. I have my 2006 Lincoln Town Car long wheelbase. That's my daily driver. I have my little hybrid that I bought to replace a town car, but I don't drive it really. The little Elantra hybrid limited. I have a conversion van. That's the coolest thing. I love it.
You bought a conversion van?
Yeah.
When did you get that?
I bought it probably 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
1999 Ford Econoline.
Okay.
It's got all the.
So is that the Power Stroke and?
No. It's got a town car engine. It's got 4.6 and 4.68.
Okay.
You know.
So what's that kitted out for? Is that meant for like overlanding, go out and do whatever?
No, so people lift them and they put tires. Mine's all original. Mine's grandpa spec, still original. It's got those in the 90s. You know how they were popular to have on the pickup trucks, those long running boards that go even above the wheels. Like it's like it looks like a body kit on it.
Right.
Yeah, it's I guess I can show you, but it's just a super comfortable cruiser. All my friends call it the pedo van or the rapist van.
Okay, so no side windows.
No, it has side windows, but it's got blinds.
That's it.
Yeah, it's got blinds and TV.
The interiors that have like captain's chairs in it and like a bench.
Two captains, and then bench that turns into a bed.
Okay.
In the back.
Cool.
And it's super comfy, super nice. Everybody makes fun of it until they ride in it. And then they're like, I remember I had some friends riding in it one weekend, and the next weekend we go out and they're like, can you bring the van?
Dude, yeah.
Let's go out in it.
As
and
a passenger.
We pile everybody in and we go, we'll go to a bar, hang out for a little bit.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's like the ultimate DD thing to have. If your buddies are going bar crawling and you're like taking the night off or whatever, dude, it's just a great time for everybody.
No, definitely. It's another useless car that I don't need, but I saw it on the internet and I had to have it.
It's a problem.
So where am I at right now?
You conversion van,
Cadillac, the gold Lincoln, the newer Lincoln, the two Mercuries, the hybrid. I'm forgetting something.
I know there's a classic.
I'm forgetting something.
I'm
sure I have another Lincoln or something I'm forgetting.
Okay. No exotics right now?
I think that's 7.
No exotics right now?
No, the market's just dropping. And
okay, you're waiting for it to plateau so you don't lose your ass on
it. It looks like it's starting to plateau, but then every time I say that, I look online and they drop more.
Yeah.
Or I talk to friends that are still in the business or whatever, and they're like, not the time yet.
It's hard, man. It's almost like stock investing when you buy these cars because you have to wait to see what the market's going to do. Because if you buy it at the wrong time, that's money that you will never see again.
But you got to realize that's how we've been spoiled for the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how it's always
been climbing and you can't lose.
Right. But before that, before COVID, that's just how it was. You bought an exotic car, you lost money. Shit, I lost like 30, 40 grand when I sold my S65. I traded it in.
Yep.
And on a Ram. And I remember, that's just how it is. You bought a higher end car, you're going to lose money. It's just what it is, unless you bought like a one of, like very low production 911 or, even 911s were dropping in price. That's just how it is.
GT cars probably weren't though.
They were selling for MSRP back then.
Yeah.
Like you paid MSRP for that car. Porsche weren't going for over MSRP. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah.
Like Ferraris, yeah, but you didn't pay over MSRP for a Porsche.
Ferrari's like its own special program though. You can't even just walk in and get one. You got to go through a whole thing.
So we're getting back to that point that I'm just going to have to suck it up when I do find something I want, that we're back to normal times. Things are going to drop. I'm going to lose money when I go to sell it. I'm happy that I got to own, 911.
You made money on a Bentley and a 911.
Bentley.
That's not easy.
And I bought the 911 where I thought I was going to be at the top of the market. I'm like, I'm going to lose so much money. After I bought it, because I remember that car was an impulse buy for me.
You got a Carrera S?
Yeah, Carrera S Aero Cup, I think is what the trim is called. Yeah, so it comes it looks like a little baby GT3. It has like a GT3 bumper in the front.
Your Spider-Man car?
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, it was aqua blue with what I call porno red interior, but it wasn't just red seats. Like you see a lot of 911s, it's just red seats.
No, it was entirely
Mine
red.
was red. Headliner was everything that was in red. Red dash, red steering wheel, red carpet, red door panels. Red seat belts, everything.
I've never seen that before.
That's why I had to have that car. I saw it and I'm like, looks exotic. It's a 911 that actually feels, a lot of 911s, silver, gold, tan interior, gray interior, black interior. I don't like black interior. I just don't. Gray.
White.
A lot of them are gray, black interior. So when I saw this car, I was like, aqua blue is this really pretty, like, it's not deep blue, but it's just a nice blue. Everybody's
It's very vibrant.
yeah, with the red interior and the duck bill with a spoiler on it. It was the weirdest thing ever because it had
cool.
like 2 spoilers on it.
Yeah, it
and
was
then
cool.
The nice front bumper with the lip and the big wheels. It was a nice car.
It was.
Really well spec'd. I mean, I remember Braden, he had the GT3, the white one, those same year as mine. And
It was a 997.1.
yeah, 997.1 GT3. You remember the white one, not the black one.
Yep.
My Carrera S had an MSRP $2,000 away from his GT3.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Somebody spent that much money on a 911 Carrera S.
Like, why? If you're $2,000 away from a GT3, like that's
Well, I'm glad they
Such
did because I got to buy it for a huge steep discount.
Right.
A GT3 wouldn't have been at that
what
discount.
did you buy it for? Like 60?
I feel 70.
70?
67 maybe, something like that. But I mean, that car...
I mean, that's insane. You don't see Carreras for that price anymore, especially 997s.
I look to see if I find another one like it. You see them pop up once in a while, a really well optioned, nice Carrera S. But they're not cheap.
No, they're not low 60s.
Anything 991 is... But anyways, I mean, have you seen what 996s are selling for?
They're going up.
996 is like the stepchild.
That's what everybody says. I like them.
I don't mind. Now, I don't like the first, I think it's the first 2 years they had, I think they call them runny egg headlights because they're yellow at the bottom.
I think I might know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
they're like white and then they have yellow, like it looks like the yolk went to the bottom of the headlight.
Right.
It doesn't look good. I don't like those. I like the facelift 996.
Yeah.
996.2. I don't know what they called it. I don't know.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
like those. And especially the Targa form. They got that weird sliding roof that slides all the way to the back.
Those are wild. Your 996 or 7 did that.
996 and 7 both did it. I think that is, yeah.
Where the whole
We had that red
glass
one, just exotic, remember?
yeah.
It's just a panoramic sunroof and they call it Targa.
But the whole top slides off. Like you don't typically like when the whole roof is glass like that. Typically it'll vent, but you can't slide it back.
Correct. On a small 2-door car.
Right. Yeah. Typically you see them vent, but yours like it's almost like you're taking the glass on the top of the car and moving it to the back of the car.
And
Like
it's weird how it does it.
so
It's like it
sketchy.
slides into the trunk and it just slides all the way and then it blocks your. And those have tailgates, not tailgates, but lift hatchbacks. Those
Oh,
911s, the Targa ones.
Yeah.
you can open the back glass.
So it's almost
you
like
can't.
a Cayman. How those open?
Yeah. But the Cayman actually also opens part of like the bottom of the trunk right above the bumper. The 911 Targa's 996, just the glass. It's like an old SUV.
Okay.
And you don't, 911s don't do that. Just
Like
that one.
Like a Mark III Supra.
No, that's a whole hatch. It goes all the way onto the bumper too.
No, I don't think
Mhm.
they have
Oh, wait, Mark III?
C4s.
Mark III Supras, I don't know. Well, I can't remember. I haven't
A
seen.
C4 Corvette.
Yeah, the glass just opens, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's like an old SUV. You remember
Okay.
those SUVs that you can open the tailgate or just the glass? Yeah, just like that.
That's weird.
But no, I mean, I got lucky back on track. I mean, we get sidetracked so much. Back during COVID, 911, Bentley,
Yep.
Rolls Royce, and then I was supposed to buy that Phantom from Exotic, but then I just drove around for a while.
You didn't like it?
I liked it, but not enough to buy it. And I had talked to Elliot, I think, about possibly just making the payments on it, like through the dealership or whatever. And
Paying their floor plan or whatever.
yeah, but I was like, it never happened. I mean, just the car's constantly broken. And once it got all sorted out, it was a nice car.
Right.
But it wasn't for me.
You have to find the right one. You're
Yeah.
not like, oh, it rolls, I'll buy it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, is it 4-butt?
Yeah.
Is it 2-tone? Is it,
Yeah.
this color?
The options were there. Everything was there. It's just a car that didn't get to my standards of the quality of the car.
Right. Well, wasn't it wrapped and like the wrap wasn't?
Yeah, they didn't peel it right off. And it just had some things that even if they they were fixed property. So once the car sold, it was a nice car.
Right.
But it's just like, I like one owner cars that are in really good shape, like never been repainted. That one, I think the bumpers have been painted on it, and 1/4 panel have been painted on it.
You know, a lot of people give you a lot of crap for being picky, but I'm on your side, dude. If you're spending $180,000 on something, you better love every inch of that because that is a ton of. What are the payments?
One
on
time
that?
I was
Two-
driving in and like one of the door panel like armrests started like flapping and it like almost flew off and I caught it on the highway and I put it back on. So just the sunway, that also could not just been that it was that car. I think that was just the older, because my Ghost was newer. My Ghost was a 15, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
This Phantom drop head was a
It's like a 12, wasn't it?
no 08.
Oh,
this is
oh.
like a really old. Like I think the quality wasn't there on the newer one.
Okay.
So I remember the sun would hit it right, and it would heat up this certain part of the dash. I had a trim, and the trim would get hot, and it would just pop out. Yeah, and then you have
What?
to imagine driving your Rolls Royce with the top down, and then this piece of trim will pop out, and you have to go smack it like this to get it back to go back in.
I feel like that's just older exotic problems. Because if you look at like Diablos and Murciélagos, stuff like that, you know, they all have like these weird quirk, like Gallardos, dude. The leather is on like a very finite time span before it's just
It starts shrinking.
it's just jacked. It just looks awful.
And the technology on a Phantom, like 08, 09 Phantom,
Probably not great.
oh my God, it's outdated.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, oh, well, technology back then wasn't that advanced. I was like, yeah, you're driving 08, my 08 S65.
Mm-hmm.
Technology was great. I mean, that car had everything. I mean, Rolls, I think, is just, I don't know about the new ones. Those do have the technology, but even my 15, it was lacking some things that my 2008 S-Class had.
That's crazy.
You know, I mean, the massaging seats are a joke.
Yeah.
It's literally the butt does this. I guess they really don't call them massaging seats. Everybody refers to them as that, but they're the BMW active seats because you know the car's a BMW.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the BMW active seats that it's supposed to, you know, when you're driving on a road trip and you do this, you get on one butt cheek and then you get on the other butt cheek.
Yeah.
It just does it for you. You're driving and it's doing this. You want to switch to the other butt cheek.
I don't know if I like that being done automatically. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if
But
I'm
on
gonna
a-
get groped on my road trip.
You get it on 08 S-Class and you have like these rollers in the back that they do this to your back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They go up and down and they get hot. And why couldn't the Rolls do that?
They have like a whole screen. I don't know about the years, but like maybe the newer ones, like 15-ish, that era in S-Class is insane.
Oh, everything's a screen. Are you talking about the front?
Well, not even just that, but like how they have the whole menu prompt just for the seats.
Oh, yeah. That's 14 up.
They can change how it heats and cools, and it'll like play music and do different things at different speeds in different areas.
Well,
like,
my mom has a, you've seen my mom's car. She has the,
that thing is so
the
nice.
S-Class Coupe.
Yeah, that thing is so nice. I love the wheels on it.
Door panels are heated.
Yeah, the
door
little armrest.
The armrest is,
It's nuts. You can change the accent lighting in it.
15.
Yeah.
15 Rolls Royce doesn't have that.
Right.
They don't have.
That's 8 years old at this point. That's super impressive.
It's not like analog. I guess it's a different, maybe it's the Rolls Royce back then. They were aiming more for an older crowd and they didn't want to overwhelm. Because even when my mom got the S-Class, she was a little overwhelmed with all the buttons.
Dude, it's a lot. It's like setting up a new phone. You know, you got to sit in there and just let it idle and go through all this stuff to make it yours.
Yeah, so my dad has a Navigator and it's been, Ford's been having issues at 10 speed on the new Navigators.
Oh.
So he's been having issues. It should be out soon, hopefully with the new trans. And he's been driving my mom's S-Class a little bit. And he'll call me, I don't know how to do this. We're having an issue. He's like, I don't know how to adjust the air conditioner. Like, he's like, I want the air seat to come out of this specific area. I think he wanted the air blowing on his feet or something.
Dude, they're weird cars. It's a lot
And
to
I'm
take
like,
in.
yeah, you have to grab the center and you have to like push it back, not turn it. Like grab the ball and then it's gonna pop up a menu and you have to click menu, and then you have to cycle till you see air diffusion, I think is what they call it or something.
Yeah.
And then you can change it. Dude, it was ridiculous. I don't think
It
we ever
is.
figured it out over the phone. I have to show them in person. But
It's a lot.
they're not, I mean, yeah, the technology can get overwhelming. So I can see maybe why Rolls back then, you know, because back even in 20 teens, they were more of an older person car, which is what I like. But
Yeah.
now they're trying to aim for the younger crowd with the black badge, you know, everything blacked out. And now they have everything's digital on them. And so they're catching up to 2013.
Yeah. Slowly but surely. It's just like Lexus, you know, anything Lexus feels 10 years old. Even their new stuff, their infotainment is notoriously awful.
It is so. I mean, I haven't been in any Lexus. I've been in one, but I haven't gotten to experience like me driving it, playing with it, like a brand new one.
The LC500,
Oh yeah, I forgot about the LC500 that I drove for a while.
awful.
Yeah.
The driving experience, the car itself, everything, 10 out of 10. The
It's
infotainment,
so good. Oh my god,
Yeah.
Lexus I think makes
Japanese V8. Oof.
they make a good sounding car. Anything 500,
Mm-hmm.
like the old IS 500s.
Yep.
Remember when they first came out? Oh, those cars sound
The
so
ISFs.
That's what I meant. The ISF, not the 500. Now
Yeah.
it's a 500, but back then it was ISF.
The ISF was sick. I remember when that came out.
And it hit VTEC. Remember? You just
Yeah, they have their own little
get on it and
VTEC.
go. Ah!
Yeah, VTEC and a V8. Yeah, that's wild. Infotainment was still trash.
Oh,
It's so bad.
garbage.
You have to like use this little touchpad cursor thing. It's
Not a fan. Not a fan. Are you familiar with the old LS 400s though?
kind of. I've been in a few of them.
No, but I mean, you gotta to some point do some research on the history of them, how they were created.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they came out in '91 and they were way ahead of their time. I mean, they blew everybody out of the water. Mercedes, BMW, Jag, everybody out of the water. And I think it cost like, I think an S-Class, fully loaded S-Class that competed with that car that had the same features as that S-Class.
Probably
that's
price.
It was almost, close. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I believe it.
But there's this video on YouTube that explains, how the car was made and, what Toyota wanted. And they were pushing the engineers. Like, the car had to cruise at 150 miles an hour.
Wow.
It had to get certain miles per gallon. It had to have a drag coefficient better than 911.
Wow.
It had things. The car had to accomplish things
I remember you
that the
telling me about
Toyota
that.
Supra of its time could not do. It had to be.
They did a ton of acoustics testing with it too.
Oh, tons of things. I mean, there are old commercials where they stack a bunch of wine glasses, I think is what it is, or champagne flute. I don't know, some fancy. It's a champagne flute or a wine glass full of water, and they rev the engine.
Yeah, they didn't move.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's cool.
So you've always had these kind of bigger, boxier cars. Have you ever had anything like to involve yourself in motorsports, or because that's, the thing to do around here is like drag racing, right? Everybody in Oklahoma seems to be into that.
I'm not into that, honestly. I never was into the drag racing scene. I've always wanted to do
because you almost bought a 570 at one point. There was a white 570 that came in, and you were like,
because I couldn't find the rolls I wanted. That was before my rolls.
But like a McLaren is such a stark contrast between something like a Rolls.
I love exotic cars. But if I have to choose, I prefer a Rolls or a Bentley or something. I think my next car, Bentley, had the Mulsanne.
Yeah.
Which it fell between, it was nicer than a Ghost, but not a Phantom. I think a Phantom, if you don't get a 2-door or a convertible, it's a car you get driven in.
Mulsanne is like a drop head coupe, isn't it?
No, Mulsanne is the big 4-door, but
it's a 4-door
that you drive yourself.
Okay.
It's bigger than a Ghost, but smaller than a Phantom.
Okay.
If you get the Phantom 4-door, I wouldn't get a 4-door Phantom. I remember Exotic had one, and I drove it around a bit. And
didn't feel right.
Well, no, I love how I felt. I love the car, but people looked and they're like, "Wow, look at that car! I wonder who that guy works for. I wonder, who's he chauffeuring around."
Yeah, that sucks.
You feel like a chauffeur when you drive a Phantom 4-door.
Okay, that's fair.
But the Mulsanne, it's nicer than a Ghost, but not Phantom. Get chauffeured in.
Right.
Even though they are designed for you to get chauffeured in, but
there's a pretty big price gap between the Ghost and the Phantom, also. But I feel like the
when they were new, yeah. When they're used, actually, it's cheaper than a Ghost. I'll take it. Nice, in my opinion. It's a nice car. No. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the Mulsanne.
No, the Phantom and the Ghost. Pretty big price difference.
When they're new, bro. You can buy $200,000. Okay. You can spec out a long wheelbase Ghost, and not long Ghost, a long wheelbase Phantom, probably $500 some $1,000, probably even more. I think, I don't know what the new Ghosts start out. I know mine in 15 had an MSRP of, I think it was 360.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's so much.
Yeah, somebody took the guy that, actually, I know the story. The guy passed away. He was an older guy that bought my car new. Mm-hmm. So, if he were alive and he sold it, that's probably why he didn't sell it. He didn't want to take the hit on it.
Right, yeah.
But not those people that buy those cars new. It's just a write-off for them. They don't care how much money they lose.
True, yeah. That's insane.
It's probably like us buying a Civic and, selling it. Oh, I lost $10,000. Oh.
Yeah, when you're at that level, it definitely doesn't hurt as bad.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, man. Well, we are at time. I appreciate you coming out today.
Well, dude, it was fun. My first podcast and
first podcast ever.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be struggling finding what to talk about, and
no, that's never the case. I told you were interesting. You didn't realize it.